Bam! What's up, peeps? How's everybody doing? Long time no see. God, it's been a long time. Like a couple months or so. How's everybody doing? What? It's a new year. You're not supposed to be lying. Anyway, sitting on the floor in my hotel room in Vegas. I'm back in Vegas with the amazing Do You Believe? Cher. Yep, back at it again. Anyway, I haven't seen you guys in a few months, and I thought I'd come on here and do a little life update, because a lot's been going on. Life changing, life draining, just whole new year, whole new way of dealing with new situations. And so yeah, to kind of start it off, oh, by the way, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hope you guys, this is everybody's year. You get what you want, you go for it. Don't let anybody stop you, but Happy New Year. Merry belated Christmas. Hope everybody had good holidays and everything. Anyway, so in November, my father was in and out of the hospital a lot. And for many of you know, my father's gone through a lot of health issues. Not because my father was a sick man. My father was a very healthy man, but because he was exposed to that chemical in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War, called Agent Orange. Ever since then, he has experienced 2 kidney transplants, colostomy, hepatitis C from one of the kidney transplants. I could keep going. Congestive heart failure, all of this stuff. But my father was indeed a very healthy man. Thank God for our genetics and his will for life, and thank you, Jesus, for keeping him going. Father was in the hospital for 19 days. My mom called me and said, "Sean, you got to get home. We don't know what's going on with your dad. He has some disease in his leg, and it's not good." So I only could go home for 3 days. So I flew to Pennsylvania. I went right to the hospital right away. I got to take care of my dad, make sure he's good. And we got to the bottom of it. We had all these meetings with people, got right to the bottom of it, found out what was going on, figured out a treatment situation. I was gonna have to go back and forth to Philadelphia every day, hour-and-a-half drive, morning and night, to do this procedure, to do this other procedure for this hyperbaric chamber, which is gonna help heal his leg, because he had this horrible disease in his leg that people get who are usually waiting for a kidney transplant. But the crazy part is, my father wasn't waiting for a kidney transplant. He already has his second one, and it's been going 19 years. But long story short, I stayed in the hospital with him. I flew back home. And then the last day that I was doing Share, my mom called me and said, "Your father went back in the hospital." And it was a week of Thanksgiving, and my dad actually spent Thanksgiving with my mom in the hospital, and their wedding anniversary of 48 years. It kills me that they spent it in the hospital and I wasn't able to be there, but So anyway, so my mom called and said, "I need you to come home right away. We don't know what's going on with your father, what's gonna happen." So sorry getting upset. It's only been I told myself I wasn't going to do this and get upset, but it's only been a month since my father passed away. So come on, Sean, pull it together. So I flew home and I'm right in the hospital. My sister Danielle was there, and my mom, and my father was kind of out of it. He was on a lot of pain medicines, and he didn't look good. He didn't look good at all. Every time my father's gone in the hospital for the past, I'd say 15 years, I fly home, I stay with him in the hospital, because nobody can take care of my dad like me and my family can, you know. And my dad's a very emotional man. So went into the hospital. I got there, and basically my sister was like, "Sean, this isn't good," and my mom was like, we're gonna bring him home. I said, "Well, what does that mean?" You know, we're gonna continue the procedures and the treatment that he has to do to get this leg better, because this leg was like, it's called cellulitis. No, was it cellulitis? Not cellulitis. It's called, anyway, I can't think of what it was called right now, but it's a horrible disease in the leg. It causes calcification of inside of arteries, it just calcifies the inside of your body, which means hardens different parts of it, so it doesn't work as good, and things don't expand and pump blood, and it's a mess. All because he fought in the Vietnam War. It pisses me off. So My mom says, we're taking your father home. This was, let me think of the day, November 25th. November 25th I flew home because, no, November 26th? 26th or 27th, because I did the last day of share, which I think was November 25th of last year. Anyway, so November 26th, November 27th, somewhere around that. So my mom said we're taking him home, and my dad was laying in the bed, and he was on a lot of pain medicines, and in a lot of pain. And my father didn't take a lot of pain medicine, even though he's had kidney transplants, all this stuff. He just dealt with the pain. He didn't like feeling drugged up or feeling like he was on anything. He was a strong person, I'll tell you. I've never ever met anybody as strong as my dad, and I'm not saying that because he's my father. I really haven't. And he was so positive, such a positive role model for everything he went through, and he was always supportive in every way. I couldn't have asked for a better set of parents. You know, I feel very lucky, and I thank you, God, for that. Long story short, I'm getting all over the place. So my mom says, we've decided to take your father home. If they do kidney transplant, most likely the body won't take it because the arteries, because the connections where they connect the kidney in the front are calcifying. Also, he has congestive heart failure, and the heart might not be able to take another surgery, and it's very risky. And even if everything is successful, this disease that's in his leg is not curable. So basically, he's gonna have a year to live, but he's gonna be in twice as much pain because of all the procedures we're gonna have to do. So, you know, they just kind of looked at us like, this is not a win-win situation at all. You know, I mean, to be honest with you, my father, and many doctors said, my father lived like 20 years past his life because everything he went through, they don't know how this person was able to keep going because of everything that he's been through. So I feel very lucky that I had my father for as long as I did. My father's 70 years old. So yeah, my mom says, we're gonna take him home. We're gonna take him home. We want dad to be comfortable. So I took a nap because I was tired, because I took a red eye, and when I woke up, my dad was a little bit more coherent, and I grabbed his hand and I said, Dad, how are you feeling? He goes, horrible, Sean, horrible. And he was happy to see me and hugged because he was out of it when I first got there. And I said, you know, how are you feeling? And he's like, I feel like shit. I've never hurt so bad in my whole life. I am feeling the worst of the worst. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He goes, so what's the news? Sean, what's the news? You know, and I always tell him like it is. And so is my mom. And, you know, we don't want to candy coat anything. But then again, I don't want to scare my father, you know? I mean, shit. So, I said, Dad, we're taking you home. I'm taking you home. You want to go home? And he said, yeah, I want to get the hell out of here. So I said, we're taking your ass home. And he goes, well, what's that mean? You know, and doctors came in, and the one doctor kind of looked at me, and I took her outside, and I said, is there nothing? In my family, we always figure out how to fix something. We always figure out, whether the doctors can't, we always figure out an alternative way. Tell me what exactly going on. And they kind of broke it down to me, and there honestly was no other avenue. It's either this man suffers for another year and lives maybe a year and is in twice as much as pain, or we take him home and we let God take him when they want to take him, and we let nature take its course. Ugh, it's such a scary freaking thing. So I come back in, my dad's like, so what's the news? Am I getting another kidney? This would have been the third transplant. And I no doubt in my mind, my father wouldn't have been able to do it, and it wouldn't have been successful, but because this disease in his leg, I mean, it's so much deeper than this. This video would be like an hour long. I'm gonna eventually make a video and explain everything my father went through and how this government, which is really disheartening, did not take care of him when he fought for this country. So that's a whole nother topic. Anyway, so my father says to me again, well, what's going on? Am I going home? And I said, yeah, we're taking you home. And then the doctors left, and he's like, all right, he still was on pain medicine. He's like, well, so tell me the truth, what's going on? So, what's going on? He's like, am I gonna go home? You're taking me home to die? And I was like, Dad, no, we're taking you home to be comfortable. Do you want to stay in the hospital? We want to take you home, we want you to be comfortable. We don't, and plus his arms, his veins were collapsing in his arms because they kept pricking him with needles. He had to take blood like twice a day. it's like not fair, you know, being poked and pricked with needles. You're like a damn science project, and it wasn't good, you know. He's in a lot of pain. And so we had a meeting, and they told us what medications, because my father was on like 18 to 23 medications. They told us which ones he could come off of, because some of the medications weren't working, you know, with certain things that were going on in the body. And so the ambulance people came in. We had them good to go. We were taking them out of there. I'm telling you, it's the scariest feeling in the whole world. My sister already left. It was me and my mom. My mom's like, do you want to ride in the ambulance? Because we couldn't take him home in the car. It would have been too uncomfortable for him. So we took him home in the ambulance. Mom says, do you want to ride with him? I said, yeah, I'll ride with Dad. And you take the car. But then I thought about it, and I thought, there's all that stuff to take down to the car. I have to get it out of the valet. You know, my mom's got to get it out of the valet. It had a lot of stuff to do. And I was like, Mom, listen, why don't you go with Dad? You ride in the hospital. I'll ride in the hospital. You ride in the ambulance, and I'll get the car, and I'll get all the stuff together for us, you know. And so the ambulance people come in, and they're like, all right, Dan. Well, my dad went by E. Daniel Wilt, because his full name's Earl Daniel Wilt, but his father's name was Earl, so they called him Danny. Danny boy, Daniel, Dan. So they're like, you ready, E. Daniel Wilt? Let's get you out of here. And my dad's like, yep, I'm ready to go home and die. And I was like, Dad, don't say that. We don't know what's gonna happen. I said, you're gonna come home, you're gonna be comfortable. You know how your body is. You never know. Sometimes when you take people off medications, I said this to him because this is how I really feel. Once people get off medications, sometimes things turn around, the body kicks in, this kicks in, this kicks in. And with my father's track record, you know, part of me thought, we're gonna prove all these people wrong again, and we're gonna show them that my dad's different than anybody else. So, and so I was trying to make my dad laugh. He's like, and you know, grabbing this, I was grabbing this. I was like, Dad, we can take anything we want. So it's the refrigerator. Should we take you home? You want your own personal refrigerator? And he was laughing. He's like, no. And I was acting like I was picking it up and carrying it. He's like, Sean. He's laughing, and so I put it down or whatever. And so they come and get him, and they were having a hard time getting him up. And I said to the people, I said, listen, do you mind if me and my mom do this? I said, we handle my father all the time. My father's actually, he may look a little crazy right now. I said, but he's stronger than what you could even know. So I pick him up, and you know, pick him up, stand him up, and we walk him over, and we get him on the stretcher, and I throw his legs to the side, and they were looking at us like we're crazy, but we handle my dad all the time, and it doesn't hurt him, because he's strong, you know. He's not a typical person that's been through everything he's been through. So he gets on the stretcher, and there were these two girls and this guy, and I said, you guys listen, I just wanted my dad to be laughing, and you know, me and my brother and sisters were always good at picking my dad's spirits up when he was, you know, a little upset or depressed about this. And I mean, hello, he's every right to be with what he went through. And so I said to the ladies, I said, listen, his favorite artist is Roy Orbison. I said, anytime we put my dad in a wheelchair or we put him on a stretcher, you have to sing a song to him. That's the rules. My father says anytime he gets on a stretcher and in a wheelchair, you have to sing to him. And so this lady starts singing, anything you want, you got it. And the crazy part is that's my father's favorite Roy Orbison song. And I was like, yeah, my dad's, the whole time I was saying you have to sing a song to him, my dad's laying like this, and he's like rolling his eyes going, Sean, you're crazy. But that's what we do in my family. If all else fails, you make each other laugh. So she started singing that song, and I was like, you're cool. You're cool as shit. Thanks for, you know, singing that for my dad. And so I had to walk out of the room because I lost it. And my mom came out, she's like, are you all right? And I said, this sucks. Like, this really sucks. It sucks that we have to take him out of here, and knowing that we're most likely not going to come back to this hospital who's took care of him for 30 years. This is crazy. Like, what are we doing? But then again, my father would have suffered so much more, and he would have been in so much more. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm crying. I didn't mean to do this in a video. Shit. Maybe I'll edit this out. So, shit. Okay. Come on, God, give me some strength here. So, Maybe coconut water will make me feel better. Shit. So I grabbed all the stuff and I was like, Daddy, you comfortable? And I put the blanket on him, and so I said, Mom, I'll meet you at the house. I said, I'll call you along the way, see where you guys are. I'm gonna go get the car, I'm gonna put all the stuff in the car. And the weird part is, you know, walking through the hospital and leaving with all this stuff, it's almost like I grew up in the hospital because my father's been through so much shit. And so I just thought, it's crazy. Never gonna be back in this hospital for my father again. Which is such a weird situation when you grew up in the hospital because of all this crap he's been through. And so I went and got the car and I was driving away, and I called my brother and sisters. I called my 3 sisters, my 1 brother, and my niece and nephews, and I was like, we're bringing Dad home, bringing Grandpa home. So they were all going to the house to be there because we just didn't know what was going to happen, you know? You just didn't know. I got there a little after because I stopped at Whole Foods to get cold pressed juices for my dad and all this healthy stuff because I thought, oh, I gotta stock up to make sure that everything's gonna be fine. Shit, what time is it? I got 10 minutes. I gotta go to the stage. I gotta go to the stage today. Today's Wednesday. Today's the first show back with Cher. I have a show tomorrow night. Oh, tonight. What? Tonight. And we have to rehearsal. Anyway, so get to the house and everybody's there. Everybody, my 3 sisters, my brother, my dad's already there. They put him in the recliner, you know, because we were talking about how we would probably have to get, because my parents' bedroom's upstairs, and we didn't want to have to go back and forth with my dad up the stairs because he was too weak. You know, he's too weak to walk up the stairs or whatever. So, God. Such an emotional bag of shit. You know, where talks about getting a hospital bed in the living room, which to me, if I was my dad, and I know my dad so well, I'd freak out. I would think, oh my God, this is the end, you know what I mean? And even though my parents are both 70, my parents are very young, the way they act, and 70 to me isn't old anyway, but they're very young the way they act, like so full of life. Even though my father has been through what he's been through, he didn't look like a sick person. Sometimes he'd be pissed off and say, oh, I just wish I looked like I feel, because maybe they would be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not caring, but a little bit more attentive. And I said, Dad, it's good you don't look like what you've been through. He didn't at all. It was crazy. And to me, he definitely didn't look 70 years old. We had him home for 2 weeks, and families and everybody came over left and right. And I just kind of watched my father slowly go downhill. We ended up taking him off all his medications because we didn't want to prolong the pain. We knew the pain he was in. We had him on hospice. After, I would say, 4 days, we ended up getting them to bring in a bed in the living room. The first night he came home, he slept in the downstairs bedroom, and getting him there was just, it was very tough. Me and my brother, it was very tough. He was very weak. He was very out of it. Sometimes, not all the time, but me, my sister Danielle, and my brother Nate, we stayed home the whole time with him for 2 weeks. And I couldn't leave his side. You know, we'd hold his hands during the day, and as a little kid, he'd always massage. We would all line up and sit next to the couch, and we'd sit back like this, and my dad would be sitting by us, and he'd always give us head massages and face massages. It's like what he did, you know. And so I knew how much he loved that. So for the 2 weeks, I'd always be massaging his head and his face and trying to make him comfortable as possible. And you know, I mean, even up until the last day, he would be like, "Get me up, Sean. Get me up. I gotta get up. I gotta go outside. I gotta get on the tractor. I gotta go fix the driveway. I gotta go out in the garage." And I was like, "Dad, you okay?" So I would try to get him up. I would call my brother in the house and say, "Nate, let's get him up." "What are you doing?" I said, "Let's get him up. He needs to realize, you know," because he was getting antsy, and I get it, because all me and my family, we're all like ADD. We always have to be doing something, and such hell for me. He had to go for someone who was so loving and so nice and such a good father and a husband to my mother. He had to deal with so much pain. It's not fair. I'm telling you, it's not fair. But he still was the most positive person I've ever met. And was always, you know, I talked to my dad every day in my life, at least twice a day. And when I did, and he'd call and be like, "Hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time." And I'd be like, Dad, I just talked to you. And he'd always say to me, Sean, you're doing a good job. You keep up the good work. You're doing a good job. He was always such a good cheerleader, and he was so supportive to all me and my brother and sisters. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better dad. So for 2 weeks we had him home. Me and my sister were around the clock. I would go to bed. She'd wake up, give him his pain medicine. She would go to bed. I'd wake up 2 hours. I woke up every 2 hours during the night to make sure he was fine. My mom slept next to him on the recliner. Throughout the days, we'd take him off the recliner and put him in the bed, and put him in the bed on the recliner so he felt like he was doing something and moving and getting uncomfortable, because being stuck in the same position. And eventually, he was so nauseous all the time, and we found out he was nauseous because the kidney was shutting down, the second transplant. And so the first time my dad had kidney failure, he threw up a lot, my mom said. And so the kidney shutting down, it's because your body's not getting rid of the toxins. The kidney isn't working correctly. So he's getting nauseous a lot. Anything we gave him to eat, he would throw it up. Got to the point where he was eating anything. And I said, Dad, what do you want? And he was like, I want a hot dog. So I ran to the store, got him hot dogs. I was like, he wants to eat something. And I gave it to him, and he ate half of it. And I was like, Dad, this is good. You ate half, you know. But eventually, he stopped eating. He stopped eating for 9 days. And we couldn't even give him anything to drink because he just kept wanting to throw it up. It was horrible. So we had to just wet his mouth and give him ice and give him this and that. But up until the last day, like, he would have bursts of energy where it was like, Sean, get me up, I want to go do something. And he just got weaker and weaker and heavier to try. And it was crazy. It's just crazy. Life's crazy. I know this is part of life, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it should be, you know? So the night that he passed away was December 14th, and I was sitting there, and I had my music video I'm going to put out soon called Hooked sent to me. So I was sitting there, and I was pissed off a little bit because of certain things with the color and this and that, and I'm sitting there. And for the 3 days before my father passed, he was making a gargling sound when he was breathing. He's really out of it. We had him on a lot of pain medicine. We had him on Dilaudid, which is stronger than morphine, because this thing in his leg, God, what was it called? I forget the name of it, but it's horrible. It's a horrible disease. And it comes out for people that need a kidney, because your kidney's not getting rid of the calcium that it should be, so the calcium builds up and comes out in not a good way. This video is supposed to be a life update of what's going on, but it went in a different direction. So the night that my father passed, I was sitting on 15 minutes before that, my mom gave him a kiss, good night, and hugged him, and she slept next to him on the recliner, and I was still up because I was going to stay up because I had to give him pain medicine in about an hour. It was like 11:25. My mom was already sleeping, and I look over because I heard the rattling and the breathing getting louder and louder, and I thought it was just my ears because I've been hearing it for 3 days straight. And I listened, and I was like, maybe it's just my ears. So I put my headphone back in. I'm back on my computer, and then I look over again, and I see some weird thing with his stomach, and I take my headphone out. I thought I should go hold his hand and, you know, and talk to him, you know, even though he's out of it. They say the last thing to go before you pass away is your hearing, that they can hear completely up until your heart stops. So I go, I sit next to him, I hold his hand, and I'm looking at him, and it looked like his tongue was hanging out of his mouth, and I was like, Dad, Dad. And then I noticed, I hate even talking about this, I noticed like foam was coming out of his mouth, and I ran over, I got paper towels, and I was like cleaning it up or whatever, and I was like, Dad, hey Dad, you okay? Dad. And I was holding his hand, and all of a sudden it was like he took one breath and his stomach went down, then his stomach went duh, duh. It was like and then he went and that was it. And I ran upstairs, and I grabbed my sister and I said, Danielle, I think Dad just went to heaven. I ran downstairs, grabbed my brother. My brother said, Sean, I can't come out. I said, it's okay. I went back out, and I already woke up my mother Mom was holding his hand, and I grabbed a stethoscope. I think that's what it's called, with the ears, and you check the heart. And I put it on. I was listening for his chest, and I couldn't hear anything. And I put my head on his chest. I couldn't hear anything. Then I had my sister double check. And then I said, "You guys, we have to say a prayer right now, because Dad." I said, "We have to say a prayer right now because Dad just went to heaven, and I want to make sure he's going to be okay." So I held his hand, I held my sister's hand, my sister held my mom's hand, my mom held my dad's hand, and we said a prayer. Say, you know, God, please take it, please, like, welcome him with open arms, and, you know, please take care of him. And we sat there, and I called my pastor. It's like my uncle. I said, "My father just passed," and he rushed up. We had to call hospice. We had to call the funeral home, and I just sat there and held my father's hand the whole time, and I kept kissing his head and hugging him and making sure he looked okay. I'm telling you, it's so crazy. And I miss him so much. I really do. I miss him so much. So weird not hearing your dad's voice every day when he calls you twice a day to check on you. It's so weird. Anyway, this is my life update. And yeah, so we were there for an hour. They came. He passed away at 11:35 and the 14th, but they had to say the 15th because my parents live out in the boondocks, and so they said he passed away the next, you know, the 15th. It was like at 1 something in the morning, because that's how long it took them to get their hospice. And they came, and the hardest part of the whole situation was when the funeral home came, and they said, "You might want to leave the room." And it was me, my pastor, my mom, my sister. My brother couldn't come out. He didn't want to see my father like that. And it was completely understandable, but I wanted to be there through the whole thing because I wanted to make sure that they took care of him the right way, you know? Because he was very specific with things, and he was a perfectionist too, and so I wanted him to go out and perfecting it, you know? So, so, oh my God, I'm gonna be late. I'm late for everything, you guys. Such a bad trait to get an Uber. So, look at my dad's hats that he wore. He was a die-hard Marine. Eyeballs hats. Because I wear hats sometimes. So, the hardest part was when they covered him up. They covered his face up. That was the hardest part, because I thought it's the last time I'm going to see my dad's face ever again. Ugh. And so they took him out, and you know, we all hugged and cried, and we stayed up till like 3 to 4 in the morning just talking. And me, Nate, Danielle, and actually me, my brother, and my mom. My sister went to bed. She had to, because she had to get her daughter in the morning, and so we stayed up just talking and hugging my mom and praying, and you know, it's tough. My mom's whole life was my father for 30 some years, for 48 years, but as far as taking care of my dad, it's like 30 some years, and she doesn't know any different. So we were really worried. We have to keep her busy. Luckily my brother lives at the house, so that's good. Anyway, so I flew home to LA because I want to get pictures and stuff. I put together the video on YouTube because I played that at the memorial. I wanted people to see, you know, some private videos of my father, and I want them to laugh because my father was so funny. His sense of humor was so funny. He really was. He was crazy. And it's why a lot of me, my brother and sisters were like, we all act very immature, but we have fun, and that's all that matters. So yeah. So yes. So I lost my father. It's been a month later. It's been a long time, all of us trying to get ourselves together and get back on track. But I want to get back on track. I think my dad would want that. He wouldn't want me to stop, you know, doing what I love. So I'm back with Cher. I'm gonna put out a music video, I think, next week. It's been done for months. It's good to be a perfectionist, but then it sucks. Because sometimes you stop yourself from doing stuff because you don't think it's perfect. And at the end of the day, who gives a shit, right? So I think I'm gonna put out a music video next week called Hooked. Hooked on you, babe. and I just uploaded to iTunes, so it should be on there by Tuesday of next week. And I'm just gonna keep doing this, and I want to share as much of my life with you guys as I can, because some of the messages I get from you guys makes me really happy. Like the inspiring messages, and saying that some of you say this and maybe some of you don't feel this, but it's okay. But you know, some of you send me messages and say that watching my videos makes you feel better, or it makes you feel, or puts you in a good mood. And that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do, is make people happy and make them smile and make them laugh. I know this video didn't do that, so I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm back with Cher, back and forth, and I'm doing 21 songs right now. I actually have another music video I shot too that has a really good meaning behind it. The song's really cool, and yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing this, and I want to show you some crazy shit, and I want to make y'all laugh and not cry, even though I'm a big baby and I cry. Anyway, you guys, thanks for watching. I'm sorry if this video was depressing. I just wanted to tell you guys what was going on and what meant a lot to me and what I went through. So I have to get my ass to the stage because I'm late. I'm late for rehearsal. So on that case, have a good day. You guys have a great 2018. I hope everybody gets what they want. You don't stop till you get it. I know I ain't. Even though, you know, it's taking me a bit to get back on track. My birthday's Sunday. I don't know what the hell I want to do, but what do we do? Thanks for watching, you guys. I love you all so much, and love everybody. Treat everybody with respect. Be kind. I know. Shut up, Sean. What do we say? Bam. Have a great day.